miss him every day. When you lose your son at 20, you know, it's different.
You have an opportunity to make a statement if you wish to. I take it you are declining.
I respectfully decline.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yeah.
Did you, on November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, kill and murder Madison Mogen, a human being?
Yes.
Kaylee Goncalves, a human being?
Yes.
Xana Kernodle, a human being?
Yes.
Ethan Chapin, a human being?
Yes.
Bryan Kohberger,
a criminology student, a guy who dedicated every day to learning how killers think, how they plan their crimes, how they pick out victims, how they escape without getting caught. At some point, while working on his PhD thesis, he stopped learning about it, and he started doing it instead. But people aren't talking about the bigger picture. It wasn't random. It was never random. A forensic psychologist, an expert who spent decades creating one of the biggest mass murder databases anywhere, examined the case from that night. The injuries, the layout of the house, the way those 4 kids died one after another. He pointed out something prosecutors don't want brought up. He said Bryan Kohberger didn't go into that house intending to kill 4 people. He went there to get one. When things didn't go how he imagined, where the other 3 lost their lives because of it. What kind of person creates a fantasy that vivid? And how long had he been obsessing over it? Kaylee Goncalves' father, a man who hasn't missed a single court hearing or sealed document and has endured countless prosecutors saying, "No comment," shared what investigators told him. According to law enforcement, the man who killed his daughter liked drunk, unconscious women. Choking. Watching. This isn't some wild guess. It's a grieving dad sharing what law enforcement told him. And what did prosecutors say about it? No sign of sexual assault. Case closed. Time to move on. Try saying that to the families who sat in that courtroom on July 23, 2025. That day, Bryan Kohberger stood there, got slapped with 4 life sentences, and was given his moment to speak, and to give those parents something, an explanation, a reason, anything that made sense. He just stared forward and said, "I decline." That's all. 2 words. After all of it. After Kaylee, after Madison, after Xana and Ethan, after the endless nights those families have endured since November 2022. I decline. Even the judge, during the sentencing, admitted that the motive in this case might stay a mystery forever. So, are 4 families expected to live with this for the rest of their lives? With nothing at all? Meanwhile, he gets to sit in a cell, eating, breathing, sleeping. And the ones who should provide answers just keep saying they don't know? That can't be enough. If this even makes you half as angry as it makes me, then keep watching. The answers exist. The forensic psychologist uncovered them. His search history spells them out. His phone pinged near that house 23 times at night in the weeks leading up to the murders. That is not nothing. We're going to break down every single detail right here. Long before Bryan Kohberger stepped into that house on King Road, he had been playing it all out in his mind for months. This isn't speculation. The evidence points to it. And when you see it broken down step by step, it becomes impossible to ignore. Let's begin with his phone. According to court documents, his cell phone pinged in the area of the victim's home no less than 23 times ahead of the murders. Most of those pings happened at night. 23 times. After dark. Driving by that house, watching, figuring out the layout, observing their habits, studying them. But detectives think he kept watch on the house and might have even been inside it before. This wasn't some random snap decision. This was someone planning and practicing. And about that planning, what he did to a woman he worked with at Washington State University months earlier is one of the creepiest parts of this case. Anyone is even mentioning it. Kohberger got close to a female colleague at the university. He broke into her place and rearranged her things. He didn't steal anything. Just stop and let that sink in. He didn't care about taking her stuff. He wanted to mess with her mind. He wanted her to feel uneasy, to feel like something was off and turn to him for help. When she contacted him feeling scared and out of sorts, he came over, pretended to care, and suggested putting up security cameras, but he even offered to set them up himself. Since he already knew her Wi-Fi password, investigators think he could access the camera feed from anywhere he wanted. A former FBI profiler described it. Another level of power and domination and control over another person. He broke into her house, terrified her, made himself look like the savior, then spied on her through her own cameras. That happened just 1 month before he took the lives of 4 people. Now let's shift to what investigators found on his phone. This is the part where the lack of transparency from prosecutors becomes maddening. Digital forensics uncovered searches like Ted Bundy and explicit content involving terms such as passed out, drugged, and sleeping people. These searches happened both before and after the murders. He committed 4 murders, went home, and kept searching online. Investigators discovered searches for terms like sleeping, passed out, voyeur, forced, raped, and drugged. He also showed an interest in serial killers and home break-ins. This wasn't a case of simple curiosity or random browsing. This reveals a pattern. It is a clear digital trail showing the darkest thoughts and plans this man harbored. After the sentencing, prosecutors said there was no proof of sexual intent. They claimed the motive remains unknown. But Steve Goncalves, Kaylee's dad, has a different story. He says the investigators told him his daughter's murderer had certain disturbing fetishes. Things like drunk, unconscious women, gagging, voyeurism. According to Steve, these are not his assumptions. They're what law enforcement shared with him, a father in mourning. So, whose version do you trust? And this is where Dr. Gary Brucato enters the picture. This detail, it's the kind of thing that keeps true crime fans lying awake at night. Brucato thinks Kohberger headed straight to the 3rd-floor bedroom focusing on Madison Mogen. She was the person he was after. This crime was a targeted psychosexual fantasy fixated on one specific person in the house, he told the Daily Mail. But then something unexpected changed everything. That night, Kaylee Goncalves chose to sleep in the same bed as Madison. To them, it was just a normal way to end a night out. To Kohberger, it ruined his plan. He thought he would find one person alone in that room, but instead, there were 2. When the plan unraveled, Brucato said, he went in and headed straight for Maddie, who was his target, and then came across Kaylee. Who was there? So, Kaylee, Zana, and Ethan weren't killed because he was after them. They died because they happened to be there when his plan went sideways. Take a look at the number of stab wounds each victim had. That's all the proof you need to understand what happened. Madison, the intended target, was stabbed 28 times. Kaylee, who wasn't meant to be there, suffered 38 stab wounds. Zana, even further removed from the focus of his plan, was stabbed 67 times. The more distance he put between himself and Madison, the less control he seemed to have. The facts were clear. His anger kept ramping up in every room he walked into, since nothing was happening the way he thought it should. Dr. Brucato gave a chilling statement that should unsettle anyone who kept up with this case. But he spoke about Kohberger's mindset, saying it was detached. Kohberger seemed to view people like machines, studying them with a cold, scientific curiosity. He was watching his victim from a distance, believing he understood everything about this foreign body's movements, almost like an experiment, yet never able to touch it. To him, people didn't seem real. They were just objects, something to examine, analyze, and control. But when his grip on that control slipped, 4 lives were lost as a result. The most chilling thing about all this? Brucato said if Kohberger hadn't been caught that night, he would have killed again. And each time, he would have gotten better at it. When someone is driven by fantasy, they have to keep doing it to make that fantasy perfect. This wasn't the height of his violence. It was just the beginning. And yet, he refuses to say anything about it. 4 life sentences. No appeals. He has nothing left to lose. But he sits in that cell in silence while the families of Kaylee, Madison, Zana, and Ethan are left holding autopsies' wound details and forensic reports. They're stuck piecing together answers because the one person who knows the truth won't speak a word. At the sentencing, Prosecutor Bill Thompson stated that there wasn't any proof showing Kohberger had committed crimes before he chose to kill those students. National Enquirer. No record, no signs. Just a guy who quietly built a fantasy for months and then acted on it. So what's your opinion? Share it below. You've seen the internet searches. You've heard about the phone records. You know the conclusions Dr. Brucato drew from the wounds. Was Madison the main target? Or do you think this had a sexual motive from the start, but prosecutors just aren't ready to admit it? Or could there be something different going on? Speak out. The families deserve a comment section full of people who won't just brush this off. July 23rd, 2025. Boise, Idaho. Bryan Kohberger steps into the courtroom wearing an orange prison jumpsuit, chains on his ankles. He takes his seat. 3 weeks ago, he admitted to being guilty. 4 first-degree murder charges. Case closed. But not today. Today, everything feels different. The families have their chance to stand up, to face him, to meet his eyes. What unfolded over those next 3 hours wasn't something any documentary, script, or crime show could ever explain. These were families who had been trapped in 3 years of sorrow-sealed files, silence, and a judicial process that took its sweet time. No one had asked them what they needed. Now, at last, it was their turn to speak. They didn't waste a moment of their time. Steve Goncalves, Kaylee's father, stepped up to the podium.
Today, we are here to finish what you started. Today, you've lost control. Today, we are here to prove to the world that you picked the wrong families. The wrong state, the wrong police officers, the wrong community. You tried to break our community apart. You tried to plant fear. You tried to divide us. You failed. Instead, your actions have united everyone in their disgust for you.
Then Kaylee's sister, Olivia, walked to the front. And when she spoke, her words silenced the whole courtroom. My sister Kaylee and her best friend Maddie didn't belong to you, or you had no right to take them. You had no right to study them, follow them around, or take away their voices. They are what you'll never be. Loved, accepted, full of life, accomplished, fearless, and strong. Then she said the words that brought the whole room to its feet. If you hadn't snuck up on them like a predator in the dead of night, Kaylee would have kicked your ass. The crowd in the courtroom broke into applause. And Kohberger? Experts focused on body language noticed small cracks in his demeanor, quick blinking, a clenched jaw shifting backward in his seat, when someone bruised his ego. Instagram, the guy who spent years learning about criminal behavior, squirmed in place as a young woman in her 20s tore him apart, piece by piece, in a room full of people. Next up was Kaylee's mom, Christy. She looked him straight in the eye and let 4 words sink in. Hell will be waiting. Then Zana Kernodle's stepdad, Randy Davis, summed up what was on everyone's mind. I'm shaking because I want to get to you. I hope you can feel what I'm radiating, okay? Go to hell. What hit me was when Zana's mom, Kara Northington, got up. But instead of screaming or showing anger, she showed a strength that felt different. She said, Jesus has allowed me to forgive you for murdering my daughter without you even being sorry. Then she told him, I'm not going to share memories of Zana with you. I do not want that to be in your head. Kara didn't let him take anything else from her daughter, not even a single memory. That kind of strength? Most of us can imagine it. After that, it was his turn. But the judge turned to Bryan Kohberger and asked if he had anything to say, if he wanted to speak to the families, if he had even one reason or explanation for anyone in that courtroom. Just one word. Anything at all. Kohberger responded, "I decline." Once the hearing ended, Prosecutor Bill Thompson made a statement. He said, "I don't think anything he says would be true. I don't think anything he says wouldn't just cause more harm to the families." And that's it. That's where things stand. Judge Hippler called him a coward without a face and recognized the heavy grief these families will bear forever. 4 life sentences, served one after another. He won't ever leave that prison alive. But the reason? The why? The answer that every person sitting in that courtroom came hoping to hear? Still no clue. Kaylee was just 21, though Madison had already done enough to graduate. Zana was the friend everyone turned to. Ethan, 20, was the light-hearted jokester, the guy who didn't let life weigh him down. Now, his family wakes up every day to a world missing the one version of him they had. They didn't deserve any of it, not one of them. The smallest thing, the very least, this case owed those families was a reason, just one truthful answer. He took that away too. And that's the story of the Bryan Kohberger case. From start to finish, the fantasy, the proof, the silence, and the families who stood in that courtroom and said what he never would. If this series hit you like it hit me, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe now because we've got more stories coming that need this same kind of focus. Share this video. Kaylee, Madison, Zana, and Ethan's names should echo far louder than his ever will. Share your thoughts. Do you think 4 life sentences are enough? Or does him staying silent feel like his final way of keeping control? To me, that's how it feels.